or come to the house. Alright, some thoughts. These are some thoughts about the brave new world of digital capital. So what is digital capital? Why does it matter? Etc. First and foremost, beautiful day in Culver City. I want to live and die in this place. Okay, so the thoughts. The digital transformation of capital. Okay, assuming that you don't live under a hut. I like this idea of obviously digital is better, right? Like, I don't think you'd want to be using an analog iPhone. Like, can you imagine if your iPhone Pro was powered by a gas generator? Probably not fun. Could you imagine if your clean, silent, quiet electricity was powered by a gas furnace generator? You know how loud it is. Even nowadays, like, I'm like super annoyed by these like obnoxious loud cars, like any loser Lamborghini, Ferrari, Porsche, muscle car, whatever. They're just annoying. It's like bad manners. And from an ethical perspective, I almost like the idea too. Shout out to Kirk Douglas. Yeah. Actually, so I'm recording this on the Lumix S9 with the new LUT preset, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think in today's world, the general trend, which is very bad, is we think that analog film, blah blah, is better, right? And certainly there are virtues of the old, right? So, you're doing bedtime story with your kid. It's probably better to have a printed book than showing your kids an iPad late at night, right? Right? So there are still virtues of analog paper books, but it should, you gotta think about it dynamically. So for example, if you're going to want a long flight and you want to travel safe and you want to pack light, then it's better that you bring the iPad, right? Leave the paper books at home. But if you're just trying to read a book to relax at night, probably better to read paperback books, right? So I think the big problem in today's world is too much of it is like virtue signaling, or trying to show that you're fancy or cultured or whatever, rather than giving it a critical thought. And so I think what's different is it's year 2024. Whenever I see some old car without a catalytic converter, super annoying, it's like all the pollution's bad, I think it's much better instead to think about the dynamics of modern day life. And when it comes to capital, the digital transformation of capital, we all millennials, right? Why is it that we prefer digital technologies yet we still want to buy an analog single family home real estate, right? It makes more sense to buy digital capital, where some programmer in Singapore, when he's improving the Bitcoin networks, that actually benefits you as well. And the virtues of digital capital, aka Bitcoin, is that, and people forget, right? It's open source. Like, we all love open source. We believe in open source, right? Yet, why are we still stuck in these strange past analogies where you're like essentially like giving fellatio to Bill Gates and Microsoft, right? Nobody likes them. And yeah, like, it's Tesla Model S Plaid, right? It's still the fastest production car on the planet, right? For like 5% of the price, right? And so yeah, I think it's hard for people to think carte blanche, first principles, to take it back to the beginning, right? Like, so to think about the Jay-Z quote, about every V12 engine, wish I could take it back to the beginning. And to me, it's such a great idea because, when you start like a beginner's mind, right? Child's mind, there are infinite possibilities and everything is possible. I think the big problem is when you get stuck in past analogies, right? So what a lot of people think is they think about the past, they try to iterate on the past, or they give fellatio to past, saying, oh, the past was the most supreme and the best, and it'll never get better than that, right? But also, do you remember a world without penicillin, clean tap water, washer and dryers, or air conditioning, assuming you live somewhere hot? So everyone is like kind of doing the wrong analogy here. They're like, oh, it's like Bitcoin's bad for the planet. I'm like, bro, don't you understand that air conditioning probably consumes 20% of the world's electricity, yet nobody is like trying to ban air conditioning, right? Yes, everyone's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, like as long as you're part of, as long as you have an iPhone Pro, a laptop, Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G, 5Gs, Android phone, whatevs, right? Car of any sort, you're part of modern day society, you're part of society and capitalism, you're implicated. And it's like not a bad thing. I mean, I like being part of society. And so people kind of have this weird thought is people like being part of society and the benefit it brings, yet everyone wants to be kind of antisocial when it comes to that, right? It's kind of bizarre. I think it's actually kind of more of a act of cowardice to be antisocial, like all these LA losers with their dark tinted sunglasses eyeing each other up, yet they're pretending like they're not. Like Cindy often says, like, people, especially in Santa Monica, when doing yogas, all these dudes just like blue stealing themselves or each other. I'm like, come on, just like, a bunch of insecure peoples. Takes more courage to just be friendly, smile and wave and say hello than not. So the digital transformation of capital is a big deal because we got $900 trillion worth of economies on the planet, right? Of capital on the planet, and so much of it is stuck in the analog world, which is bound in physics. Why not make a digital cyber, where digital capital, cyber capital, whatever, right? You want to have a bridge to the analog real world, which is Bitcoin mining, where you had to create the Bitcoins, solving difficult math equations with computers. And once again, people's like, you use all these supercomputers they run on electricity, right? Gas or oil, whatever, right? To solve quantum computing things, to solve cancer, whatever, right? But at the same time, Bitcoin, the world's first perfect money, is non-toxic capital. Why would you kind of refuse the perfect money, non-toxic capital, to say anything? You guys looking so beautiful today. How's it going, Bart?
Hi, you're the Mad Hatter.
The Mad Hatter? I'm the Bartholomew in the flesh. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, your print looks so beautiful on you today.
How do you remember my name?
Bart, I'll never forget your name, Bart. You gave me all the wisdom.
Where do we meet?
Here.
You had me going for a second. Yeah, how you guys doing?
Doing good. How about you?
Yeah, little baby Seneca is nappity nap nap.
Aww.
I might take him to the YMCA. My mom actually just visited from South Korea. She's gonna be with us for a month. I might take him to the YMCA, do some fun family activities.
Nice.
Yeah, today my wife's on campus today. I might scoop her up later. Yeah, and just enjoy my morning walk, getting the sun in. Yeah, how you guys doing?
So nice. Now, where is your mom coming from?
Oh, so she's from kind of like countryside in Korea, but she's actually lived here longer than she lived in Korea, and yeah.
So she's living here in Culver City.
Yeah.
Or
Oh, so
in the
now
United
she's
States?
so essentially whatchamacallit. Right. Let's keep the party rolling. All right, so continue the thoughts. Digital capital, digital transformation capital. So yeah, I think Michael Saylor's ago, Michael.com. If you have the traditional markets, just buy MicroStrategies. Oh, looks. The new Laurel Grill incoming. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, it looks super nice. Yeah. Check it out. Apparently they're hiring right now, right? So essentially the general idea is, yeah, I think the brave new world, the digital capital, it's kind of hard for basic people to think about it because everyone's still stuck in the old analogies, and I get it. It's difficult to think new, right? But then again, can you imagine those who was like, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Meta, it's kind of implausible, even Elon, right? Like, I think it's like everyone is like so ungrateful towards Elon. How's it going, man? Everyone's so ungrateful towards Elon. Now they just treat like EVs, self-driving cars like taxi, like tap water. Kind of the ultimate story is you never do anything to win the accolades. You just do it because you have a moral imperative to do it. And and I think and I believe similar. Never do nothing because you're gonna get rewarded for it. Do it because you have a moralistic, ethical imperative to do it. So even for me, doing the whole open source thing with my photography, everything, it's like believing it. It's like, everyone needs something to believe in, and honestly, all morality is, it's man-made. There's no ultimate right or wrong behind things. And I think that's what makes life so beautiful and great. So yeah, I think essentially following your whole path in life is don't let nobody dictate your own morals, rules, and ethics. You gotta do it yourself. But yeah, I think in America still the hardest thing is overcoming or going beyond the traditional moralities of traditional Judeo-Christian ethics morality. Like, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? He would take out the whip. He would tell the money exchangers in his father's house, do not sell wares in my father's house. Be flipping over tables and shit, right? And so, people make the wrong analogies. I mean, even modern day Christianity, we should think about it like Saint-Paulism rather than the actual teachings of Jesus. Read the Jefferson Bible, which is Thomas Jefferson, who might have also invented the Jefferson deadlift. The general idea is if you took away the hocus pocus, thought about Jesus as Nazareth as normal human being, flesh-bound human, what was he really trying to say? He was like the ultimate innovator. He just innovated a new code of ethics and morality. turn the other cheek, right? Unfortunately, I mean, honestly, Jesus ethics. Okay, so kind of a bad thought, right? How much of Jesus's morality of turn the other cheek is because he didn't have a standing army, right? If Jesus had like the 300 Spartans behind him, yeah, things might have turned out differently, right? So the strategy of turn the other cheek, it's an extremely good strategy if you don't have an army, because you know, you turn the other cheek, they can't do nothing about it. It's kind of like Gandhi, right? The peaceful non-protest, right? Gandhi didn't have an army, can't fight the British Empire. What do? You do a fasting pledge, you starve yourself to death, and you get worldwide media attention to change the world, right? And it's so ironic because you're like, change the world, change the world, change the world, free speech, blah, blah. I'm like, you go to the library, it's like, read banned books. I'm like, yep. Are you gonna ask somebody for Mein Kampf by Hitler, Adolf Hitler? Probably not. I mean, I'm sure they still have it, but you're probably gonna get some dirty looks. And it's funny, people's like, be you, be different, think different, blah, blah, right? And then you do it, and they're like, ... No, not like that. I think Barbara Kruger actually has a good piece on that. So it's just like, the problem with modern day capitalism is that like, you're encouraged to think different, but in very narrow confines, in the kind of like a Procrustean bed of thinking, right? Like you could think differently in terms of X, Y, and Z, but don't go too extreme or else you're gonna hurt people's feelings, right? Yeah, so for example, people are like, I hate kids, and people are like, ha ha ha, that's so funny. And then you're like, I hate dogs, and people are, whoa, 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 you don't know my dog, right? It's like, you know, all these offices now, like you can bring your dog to work. Can you imagine bringing your kid to work? Your kid's like running around like yelling and stuff. It's like people will probably say no, but dog is okay because it's an emotional support animal. What else, right? But you know, I think my general idea is whenever I see people being ridiculous, I'm like, it's fine. Like, there's 8 billion of us. You know, I do weird stuff. Other people do weird stuff. It's okay. It's like let people be weird in their own ways. And I think that's actually the real definition of, you know, being open-minded and tolerant. Even Beverly Hills, which is super conservative, they don't promote traditional values. They say promote civility. Civility means you mind your own business, I mind my own business. We both being antisocial together, I guess, right? Also, if you're curious, what's the best new car to get? Civic Type R. Yeah, Seneca loves it. Why the Civic Type R? It's got the red seats, and yeah, got the stick shift. Oh yeah, we love the stick shift. Yeah, Type R, baby. If it's not a stick shift, it's not a real car. But also the problem too is with driving, as long as you're forced to sit on your butt, it's like you're sitting on a big peepee. You're not in a good position. So yeah, cars are pretty much silly, ridiculous, overrated. Rather than dropping $250,000 on a Lamborghini, which is essentially a Volkswagen Passat on steroids, better to buy the Bitcoins, which will forever appreciate because there's no maintenance cost. Whereas loser Lamborghinis, it's gonna be bleeding you dry just for the oil changes and the maintenance costs. And actually, this is what a lot of people and millennials also don't understand. Everyone wants a single family home. I'm like, bro, have you ever had to change your roof for 50 grand? You know, install a new pool, 20 grand, remodel your kitchen, another 50,000. Oops, your foundation is not good. Another 100,000. Oh. Oh. Oh, you're going the. Oh. That's okay. Let's see. Ooh. Watch out for old people driving the cars. They don't know what's up. Wow. Okay, so anyways. What were we talking about? Time for me to direct traffic. Like, should I become a cop? Oh yeah, so we're talking about capitalism. Oh, so maintenance costs, right? So owning a single family home, in theory, sounds like a good idea. I think it's more intelligent to just rent forever and put your money into the bitcoins, because you can just dip out whenever you want. You don't have to maintain no stupid stuff. And the good thing with renting is that the costs are fixed and predictable. And assuming you live in somewhere with rent controls, it's also beneficial to you because the risk of inflation is hedged onto the landlord. So most landlords seem to be kind of scumbags, but it's a good idea to get if you have a great landlord, squat that mofo until you die. Because once again, my thought is, upcoming election cycle, what is, right? What's probably gonna happen is the cost of stuff is just gonna keep skyrocketing forever. And everyone is, okay, this is the tricky thing. Everyone kind of knows that Trump is gonna get elected, I think. So the market right now is actually reflecting conditions that he has already done elected. Ain't nobody think, not even the Democrats or liberals think that Kamala's gonna win, right? So I mean, the hard thing with inflation, minimum wage, you cannot reverse it. Once you've made minimum wage $20 an hour from McDonald's or Subway, you can't just go back on it and be like, oops, nope, we're gonna fix it. It's gonna be $15 an hour. So inflation is gonna keep. It's just a one-way arrow, right? Once you go one way, you can't go back, right? So as a consequence, it's more intelligent to plan and think about things like things that are already going one way. It's a one-way ratchet, right? And Bitcoin is never ever gonna go. It's too big to fail. It's like Apple, right? The dominant digital network, the Bitcoin network, is essentially the new TCP pop. I mean, nobody likes it, but it works for a reason. And also note the immaculate conception of Bitcoins, right? Satoshi Don pieced out. And there is no more religious cult fervor for Bitcoins than any other cryptos out there. So when people talk about crypto, it's not crypto, it's Bitcoin. Crypto is like, it's not very specific. It's like saying tech, right? Like people are like, what industry you work in? Oh, you work in tech. And I'm like, bro, if you use a laptop, you work in tech, right? If you connect to Wi-Fi, you work in tech. Technology just applies to anything. If you have an iPhone, you work in tech, right? So tech is not specific enough, right? And so I think the same thing is whenever I hear people talk about quote crypto, so what are you really trying to say? Even when people are like talking about a smartphone, it's not a smartphone, it's an iPhone. It's like, come on, you live in America, everyone's using an iPhone, right? Get with it, right? Kind of like how people call it a Kleenex. They don't call it something, Windex, whatever it's how to use, right? Yeah, so just call a spade a spade. It's like, don't say put down your phone, your smartphone, so put down your iPhone. It's an iPhone, it's an internet phone. So whenever people say device, I'm like, nah, just call it what it is. Call it and people even say like tablet babies. There's a difference if you let your kid use an iPad Pro, the 11-inch, without a screen covering or case, versus like one of those cheap Amazon tablets, which is like essentially like giving your kid a vape pen. Like it's not a good idea. So digital transformation. I mean, think about it, right? Like laws of physics, right? once you're on cyberspace and you push, you know, an object, it's gonna roll forever. Whereas in physical reality with heat, even a 0.001% friction, sooner or later it's gonna stop. So cyberspace is interesting because we've essentially discovered infinite energy motion, kind of, right? And, you know, Bitcoin costing real energies to produce. It's a feature, not a bug. Everyone's trying to fix it by saying, we're going to just print these air tokens based on a foundation of cotton candy. So a lot of crypto is actually just like the new fiat currency, right? It just takes Vitalik or one other Uber nerd to just click a button on a laptop, then boom, $1 trillion in the economy, right? And so the FASB, Fair Accounting, Securities Board or something, just go to FASB.org, starting in January of 2025, they're going to add Bitcoin and crypto to the balance sheets. So as a consequence, I wouldn't be surprised within the next 30 years, Apple starts buying Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset, especially because at this point, Apple's kind of nation state resistant and proof. Like, they're essentially in bed with mainland China, and Apple could be its own multinational city-state, nation-state at this point. And as a consequence, you know, assuming that Bitcoin is not national, it's not based on, you know, political alliances, it's like a digital asset. It's like having a chicken in a pot, right? So as a consequence, Bitcoin's gonna go up forever. Buy now while you still can. It's like if I could tell you right now that you could buy a single family home for $65,000 and it's going to 13 million or 22 million or $56 million coin, wouldn't you buy it today?